Hi, I'm Alana Heim of Prosperity Alignment, and in this video, I want to share with you what it means to be the unique contribution that you're here to make in the world. Last month, I talked about facing rejection. There was all kinds of rejection and themes and things playing out. And I started the conversation just briefly in my newsletter about Jesus, because there's been this level of wanting to understand more about this man. And I didn't really get to go into it very much in last month's newsletter. And I wanted to come back to it because there's an element of confusion around who he was, in the sense that we've put him on this pedestal and people worship him as God. And it's always baffled me and confused me because he was just a man. He was no different, truly, than you and I. And you may think, well, he could heal the dead or make people walk. But that's because he understood energy, and he understood all of the spiritual side and the physical side and bringing it together. And he was put here on that spiritual quest to help humanity to rise up and recognize the gifts that are inside each and every one of us. He had his own unique contribution through the way he could teach, and he could teach through story, and he could reach people on every different level to connect them not only to the truth of what this planet and this way of life and all of these lives that we live, what they all come down to mean and be. He understood so much, and he wanted to share it with us. And unfortunately, his messages have been twisted, and church has taken him and raised him to such a high level and stature that people think he's God. He was sent here to teach you that you have these same gifts. It starts inside of you. He may seem like he's so beyond all of us, but he had such love and compassion, and from an early age, he was trained and studied with the Essenes, who knew so much. Their knowledge was so vast. This is over 2,000 years ago. They knew how to follow the stars, and they knew how to read it in such a way as to predict the future or to predict his birth. And they knew the points of these big moments to come. And that knowledge has now been lost. We don't follow it. We don't understand it. And science has taken over so much that we've moved away from all of this knowing. And when you're here to be and follow and make a unique contribution in the world, that is a level of energy that is part of that knowingness. There's just some way that you can connect the left and right side of your brain and just have this source-based energy, God's energy, the universe's energy, come down into you. You just know things. Jesus was taught these levels of knowing that we still haven't even tapped into. The powers that be have hidden a lot of this knowledge, but given that Pluto is still transiting in the gate 61 for the next 3 years, you and I and the rest of this planet, all of humanity, we are learning what it's like to connect to that knowingness, to that deep power that's within, to tap into the abundance, the universe, the resources, so that you can truly express who you are and the gifts that you're here to bring. You're not here to be like everyone else. And we try so hard to fit in, and we face the fear of rejection. And I go back to that theme when you say, what would Jesus do? He was a man who was so enlightened, so empowered in his own way, but so humble and so compassionate. And he loved everyone and everything, and that was his message. was to spread love. And more, where we are today, we're recognizing that we're here to lead from our heart and lead with love, and that there's such bliss and love on the other side being the spiritual side, other than this physical life, on the other side of death, that there's so much love. And that's what you and I are created from. And Jesus knew that. And he knew how to heal, and he knew how to tap into these powers. And he wanted to spread those messages to help each and every one of us to evolve on this planet, to let go of fear, to express who we are and help each other and have compassion for each other, to grow in such a way that our spirits get closer to being up there with God. Jesus is not God. And don't confuse that. That's what the church does. And it horrifies me more and more as I hear this and I realize that this is what people worship him. He's within you. Yes, he's the closest physical thing that we can understand to being God. He's close to that level, but you and I are seeking that same evolution on a spiritual level. And the experiences we create and have on this planet help us to get there. So going back to what would Jesus do? Would he be filled with hate and rage? Absolutely not. He never was. He knew how to have so much love for everything, even when he was being persecuted and crucified. He knew he had this purpose, and he had to go through the experience to help himself evolve. He is not God's only son or only child who died for our sins. If you believe that, that's your belief. But I know in my heart, no one's here to die for me but me. And I am my own judge. God doesn't judge you. There is no one soul or being that's going to judge you for your life. You are the one who can decide and determine whether or not you have learned the lessons and you've grown from them and you've forgiven yourself and you've loved yourself. Just as much as you are here to forgive and love others, even when it feels like they wrong you. Jesus was wronged. He was murdered on the cross in front of everybody. And the entire time he was there, he was still radiating out that vibrant energy and love and light that people always talked about came from him. He just glowed. And if you see pictures, there's usually like a halo or there's just like this glow about him because that's who he was. And even on the cross, he was still radiating out love. Love to those who didn't know what he knew. Love in such a way as to help them grow. He didn't die for their sins. He died as a way to show what else is possible. He was able to have the other side come through and help make his body disappear, to make this lasting impression on just how powerful and how close to the truth he was. And although the church has spun and twisted his words and some of his stories, and we have some of them, I'm grateful for hypnotherapy and what Dolores Cannon was able to do in reaching some of these lifetimes, incarnations through people who were there, who were part of teaching Jesus as an Essene, or who was one of his disciples. There are these energies and truths that can still come through, whether we have it captured correctly in a book or not. And I want you to recognize what that truth is and what resonates for you. Only you know your truth and what feels correct. And if you're reading the Bible or you're reading a book or you're hearing a story and there's a part of you that's like, it's not true, tune in, listen, and have compassion as Jesus did. He never fought to have his opinion or his truth heard. He became curious. He would just listen. He would just ask questions or knowingly wait patiently for the right timing to share what could potentially help the person he was with. Waiting is key, and trusting your truth and knowing it's not a fight, and it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being curious. And the more that you see in our world where we're not allowed to be curious and you're not allowed to question, is the moment you know the collective has gone too far and it is forcing us, humanity, individuals, to conform. Conform to truths that are not true for you, for me, for our families, for the people we care about. I want you to recognize that there are going to be times that you're going to feel persecuted. And even in that moment, when it feels like they're crucifying you, they're slaying you because you are going against the grain, going against the status quo, you get to choose how you react and behave. And what would Jesus do? He would love unconditionally with all of his heart and all of the energy of the universe connected through him, because they knew about chakras and he was a guru or a yogi. Jesus knew how to tap into that infinite power, the energy that science still doesn't understand and tries to prove or disprove. I want you to recognize that you have these same healing abilities. There's so much potential inside of you that you haven't even tapped into. I haven't tapped into. And more, I want to be like Jesus and be able to have those gifts and heal and share them and help everyone to evolve, to let go of fear, to grow. Because the more we have compassion and love for each other, the more we recognize we are all one. There is no difference. We just experience things slightly different to help each of us learn and grow in the unique way that we're meant to, that we were designed to. So remember, you are you. No one else is ever going to be you. No one else can take that away from you. It's not about conformity. It's about authenticity, alignment, sharing, and caring. And just moving forward in this powerful way, in this new way of world, and as we all evolve, and we're all shifting, and if we're gonna move toward the new earth or move towards these higher abilities, we have to trust inside of ourselves, which means we also have to listen to ourselves. And if there's any fear coming up, trust can override that. And fear's just in the moment. And what can you learn? What blessing can you reap through the experience of what you're going through? I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. I wanted to give you more of a view of, hopefully it looks good. It's hard to tell. My chickens are in the back over there. We have 8 chickens. I don't know if my little dog Dusty decided to be in the video like he was last time. But from my heart to yours, please share your brilliance, your gifts. Be who you know you're here to be. If there's anything that's holding you back and you need support, reach out. I would love to support you. It doesn't have to be me, but ask somebody, because we're all here together to support each other and rise up together. That doesn't mean you're here to do it alone. And even with individual circuitry, that's all about unique contribution, there is that feeling sometimes of having to do it alone, that the change starts inside. And that may be true, but we still live on this planet and we're all one. So get the support you need, love yourself, and have a beautiful rest of the month. It's going to be a busy month, so take care of yourself, nurture yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.